Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria 3, where we are currently trying to leverage this nihilist movement to pass total separation. We'll see if that happens, but there's postal savings, and that of course is very, very good for us. So what that means is we should see our investment pool growing at a faster rate. That should be overall very, very good. So that is wonderful, and now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go down into mutual funds to reduce our loan interest rate and increase minting. But that is 7 years to research that, which is quite significant. And I'm wondering, would we be better served to go for something like Steam Donkey instead? And I feel like we would be. We'll get there. We'll get there. So that seems fine. We are working on paying off this debt, but that's going to take a very long time, and I'm thinking about just not. I'm strongly thinking about it. I would love to see this total separation go through. The odds are still very, very low. 84% chance on not being the case. Yeah, that's pretty rough. No doubt about it. So, the nihilist movement here. So, if completed, triggered the event, nothing ends. If time runs out, triggers the event into oblivion. Now, I don't know what these events actually do. So if time runs out, that may be fine. We have to make our decision by the time this is down to 5 years remaining, because we need to suppress this for at least 5 years, right? So that is absolutely fine. We can succeed this event if we choose to. Or we could fail the event, and either is fine. It doesn't actually matter. This just progressed up to consideration. That's kind of a big deal. We'll see if that happens again. If that does, that would be tremendously good. Hey, privatization. I would love to see more privatization happening, because that will allow us to continue construction, which would be huge. I say huge as I just saw over here the first Mongo pop just moved in, and I'm reading that literally. I know that that's a culture, but I'm just reading it as it's just a very large pop. He is just huge. He's a big boy. Okay, fine. So at this point, the question is, how's this privatization going to do? Well, our investment pool is net negative right now. And this is because of our constructions here, right? 5 weeks until completion on this furniture industry. That's understood, but we are about to run out on this investment pool, and this is now drawing from our government pool when this investment pool is empty like that, I think. But this finished up, so that is good. There's no construction ongoing right now. The invisible men, huh? Someone is trying to kill the Shah, and honestly, what's our successor looking like? Ideology Theocrat, interest group of the Ulema. Well, it's different from landowner traditionalist. So, you know what? I'm kind of okay with him getting assassinated. It seems fine. Maybe that'll be a good source of change. So we'll let that happen for now. Total separation may actually pass through here. I think it's still a pretty long shot, to be clear. We have very little debate chance, and we will see what ends up happening with that. We have to get lucky on that one. But honestly, I would be very delighted if the Shah was assassinated at this point. I think that's a net gain for us. Okay, so it looks like it pauses the construction, lets the investment pool build back up, and then resumes the construction. So that's 1 week until completion here, and I would absolutely love at this time to see this privatization happen. So that'll take a little bit, but that is going to help us pay off this debt, which would be tremendously huge, of course. So that would be wonderful. The real question right now, though, is what happens with total separation? I'm willing to bet there's a stall here. It's an 86% chance, but maybe we're lucky. Yeah, so we stall here. We have a 25% chance of plus 15 enactment success chance. It's probably not going to happen. But let's see what happens here. Yeah, we did not succeed it. We've sadly not gotten that 25% success increase ever in this game. We've had really bad luck on that. We've tried it like 5 or 6 different times, and we've never succeeded that roll. It's sad. But oh well, it's not the end of the world. So this is fine for now. We're continuing to work on this debt, and I'm interested in seeing here. Okay, so we're 89% on this funding. Okay, so that should be... That definitely paid off a good chunk of our debt. I like it. We're going to do more fishing wharf privatization here. This is delightful. I'm very happy about that. So we're still at 1% on total separation here. I want to point out, though, that 10% that we lost, that went into debate. So that's not the worst thing in the world. 86% stall is, of course, really bad. That is not great at all. Nobody wants to change a single solitary thing about this country. None of our interest groups are interested in changing anything, except going backwards. They're interested in going... Actually, no, nobody is actually interested in going back to serfdom either. Everybody is just happy with where we are and does not want change. Yeah, that's the case. Everybody just is like, this is a perfect status quo. And honestly, I'm going to disagree with them, but to each their own, right? They believe that this is a perfect status quo. Whatever. So at this point, more privatization is occurring. Empty pockets, huh? So the absolutist movement is reducing its funding, and we'd get 2% loyalism. Yeah, we'll take that. That seems fine. I'm absolutely okay with the absolutist movement losing a little bit of support. So that would be great. Their core movement ideology is, of course, absolutist, which is very much endorsing monarchy, and that's not ideal. We don't want to be endorsing monarchy if we can help it. So we're at 1% chance here. This is incredibly unlikely to get a good roll here, but we'll see. We can take another setback as well. So maybe we happen to get a good series of events here. It is theoretically possible. So checking in here, we're at 780k credit now. That's making solid progress. I'm happy to see that. And our investment pool is still working on privatization rather than construction, and that's exactly what I want to see. Sadly, we got a bad roll here. This is just a straight up setback. That's really sad. So this is almost certainly not going to pass at this point. That was a really, really bad roll. But it's not shocking. It is certainly not shocking. So we're going to get back to construction relatively soon here. This privatization is exactly what I was hoping to see earlier on. If this had happened instead of doing private constructions, we would have been able to keep our own construction going for quite a long time. So that would have been fantastic, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case. So we're down to 671k in debt. The invisible men here, huh? Okay, the most illustrious members of society now spend their days accusing each other of being part of the assassination plot, and this time all eyes are on the landowners. Okay, so I don't want to really lose authority at this time. We can take some upper strata pops becoming loyalist. The landowners can be sad. I'm not upset about that. Family ties are deactivated, and that's understood. That is going to be a reduction in our influence. That's not that big of a deal. Our influence doesn't really matter here, so that's fine. Now, we'll see what happens with total separation here. There is a 1% chance that we just pass over to adoption, but to be honest, what we're really looking to do here is build up a bunch of success chance early on in introduction before we take these setbacks. The odds are against us, though, on that. Very, very much the odds are against us, and that's fine. We know that that's the case. So at this point, I'm checking in on our investment pool yet again. Expanding cotton plantations, huh? Well, we managed to pay off a good amount of our debt with that privatization, so that's something anyway. Indeed. That is something. So I'm just looking at this point. We're at 10.4k for our balance. That's not too bad. We're going to be at about 12k. So overall, the invisible men, huh? The petite bourgeoisie are a suspicious interest group. Or we could have the industrialists be suspicious. I want to take a look here. Who is opposing total separation at this time? So let's take a look here. Ulema, rural folk, and trade unions are the ones opposing this. Okay. So I don't really care. We're going to go with, I think, being suspicious of the petit bourgeoisie, although let's take a look here. 17.3%, and the industrialists are at 10.5. Yeah, let's go with the petit bourgeoisie. So that'll be fine. But those machinations don't really matter at all. So we had a stall here, but we can go up 10% enactment success chance here, and that's absolutely what I want to do. Now, again, that comes out of the debate, which is not ideal. So at this point, our odds are only success and stall. We've got an 11% chance to pass through, but we know we can have good events from stalls. It's just rare. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. We're still working on expanding the cotton plantations here. We're waiting for this funding to become available. And that should become available fairly shortly here. It's at 87% at this time, and we're at 467k in credit right now. That's definitely working its way down, so that looks fantastic. This next month tick, I think we're going to have enough to expand this cotton plantation. 98%. Oh, okay. So that's going to go through about now. There we go. That's now ready for construction. Or not. We're waiting for funding to become available again. Now it's ready for construction. There we go. And then they were thinking about privatizing, but now they're talking about expanding an explosives factory. So that's understood. This private construction will continue. We're down to 359k in debt at this point. And I would very much like to get through in this next construction surge. I'd like to get through all of these government administrations. If we look here, we can see that we're losing about 8.28k in tax waste. Well, it's a little bit, how much of this is actually tax waste here? It's a fair amount, so that's absolutely understood. We're interested in getting that. Harvesting out that tax waste would be absolutely phenomenal. So we'll be out of debt here shortly. We're at 310k. I would like to start building again very, very soon here. I would also really like to see something happen with this total separation, but the odds are, as always, against us. But if we roll this enough times, right? If we roll it enough times, surely eventually it will pass. Let's see. Stalled. Okay, so that is going to fail then. That is unfortunate, but not surprising. So bad stalls multiple times there. If we didn't get that bad setback roll, we could have taken a setback here and tried rolling again, but it still would have been unlikely. So that's understood. At this point, hang on here a moment. Hang on. Monarchy is available to be changed. This is extraordinarily unlikely to pass, but it's a little bit more likely than what we were just working on, starting at 14%. This will radicalize the ulema and the landowners. That's understood. We're going to go for it. This stall chance is way lower than I thought it would be. Okay, so I think it's very likely that we're going to have a revolution over this one. But we're going to leverage Britain for that. That's fine. We don't mind that. We can absolutely leverage Britain to crush our revolution for us. Okay, this went up to an 85% stall chance. That's more like what I expected to see here. People are very opposed to this, but we can at least try it. We can at least try it. So we've only got a less than 1% debate chance and a 0% advance chance at this point. Yeah, it's all rounding issues. So this is probably not going to pass, but I'm interested in giving it a go. We will see. So for now, we are officially almost out of debt. Not quite out of debt yet. We're still working on getting the money to expand that explosives factory. That's quite expensive, and that is understood. So transportation shortage in Iraqi Ajami does mean that we need to do something about that. So if we build a railway here in Iraqi Ajami, I just want to double check that that's the actual issue here. Let's see here. Railways. Yeah, this is the actual issue. We need to actually expand that. So that's fine. We can definitely do that. We're going to need to work on that shortly, and we will get that done very, 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 very soon. We're about done with this very, very protracted period of time here. I really wish that we were making a little bit more money than this, but alas, we are not. Most of our losses are in government wages at this point, which isn't shocking, and our government wages are on minimum right now, so that is absolutely understood. Okay, we'll let this go for a little bit longer here, but I'm absolutely... Oil discovered in East Anglia, okay. I'm absolutely interested in getting the... In getting the construction restarted here very short. Okay, so 4.3k. We're going to be out of debt shortly, but we're going to go back into debt, and we're just going to cycle like this. We just need to be cautious with our construction at this time. It's very unfortunate, but we're stuck on traditionalism for the moment, so what are we going to do? So we're out of debt now. I'm going to begin construction here, and this is going to be pretty negative financially. I want to be very clear about that. This is going to be quite negative financially. Yeah, 40k. So we're going to get a bunch of this done. We need to get the railway and Iraqi Ajami done, and we need to get these government administrations completed as soon as possible. So we're looking to complete on this construction cycle, ideally, all the way down to here, completing this final government administration here. Now, we may need more government administrations than what we have queued up here, and let's double check that. So taxation capacity here, this would be 6 in Mazandaran. This would now be 4 in Khorasan. 3 is good here, and 2 is good in Kandahar. So for the moment, that looks fine. I've queued up these 2 at the top, and we're going to get them done nice and early here. So that looks fine. And we'll see what happens with Presidential Republic here. This would be a little shocking if this went through. But this would, I think, significantly help us if we were able to get this passed. We'd be able to make a lot more law changes than on autocracy. So this would be really good, but I doubt it's going to happen. I'm a little shocked that we haven't seen revolutions at all this entire game. Have they gotten rid of those? Maybe. It'd be a little wild, though. Okay, so one thing we could definitely do is move up these government administrations, and honestly, I think it would be most efficient to do the government administrations basically all at once here. So I'm going to move up this guy and this guy and this guy. There we go. And then we're going to move all of these up like so. I want to make sure that all of these government administrations get finished nice and quickly, and then we can do something like this. That seems okay. So we're going to get that going. I want to get the government administrations done so that we're harvesting those taxes. And market access is kind of low. Is this an infrastructure issue? No. Is this a Britain is being blockaded issue? Maybe? Interesting. It's not an infrastructure issue, so it must be like a convoy issue then. We're at +7 convoys, so maybe we would need an additional port up here. We did hit a stall here, and the question is, what are we interested in? We can take a setback here. It's definitely not ideal, but we can take a setback and see what happens. Okay, so that's looking good for now. As I said, I want to get through all of these government administrations in this construction cycle, ideally. Rural folk we could monitor. Who is opposed to Presidential Republic at this point? Ulema, landowners, armed forces, and petite bourgeoisie. Okay. So, the rural folk or heightened security? I'm going to take the... Who is actually saying this? Okay, we'll do that for now. That seems fine for the moment. So I think that the political movements have replaced the old revolution system. We can see that the absolutists here are currently protesting. They're predicted to turn into militant at 80%. So if further agitated, they may become revolutionary. So this system has definitely been reworked. The Nihilist movement is currently agitating as well, so that seems fine for now. So we're building up debt again, and this is not shocking in the slightest. We're going to continue to work on these government administrations, and they should build fairly quickly, especially once this railway in Iraqi Ajami finishes. That should be great. So market access basically everywhere is at 45%, right? Or at 95%, I should say. So I'm thinking, and yeah, so there's a resignation from the government here. The ulema have just resigned, and now there's a revolution starting up here. And that's fine. We're going to allow that to happen. So I do want to try building a port down here, as well as one over here. One level of port in each of these coastal locations. I suspect that that's the core issue here. So when do we want to build these ports? That's the question that must be asked here. I think for the moment, something like this is fine. Now, we have an illegitimate government, and that's okay. We know that that's going to be the case. The petit bourgeoisie are currently in government right now, and we don't have an ability to get a legitimate government. This is fine. We're going to let this revolution happen. I think it's the only way that we're going to have any amount of change here. So, armed forces sounds suspicious enough. Cool. So that's fine for now. This railway is getting finished. I do want to move up these government administrations because I want to get them done before we build these two ports. The question is, can we get the ports built before we need to pause our construction? We're at only minus 12k right now, actually. That can't be real. Yeah, 37.4. That's more like what I expected to see. So that's okay. We'll see what happens with this presidential republic. If we have to fight a revolution to do it, I'm down for that. I don't see another way at this point. So, to be clear, our armed forces are probably going to be part of this, right? Yeah, the armed forces, the ulema, and the landowners. So that's not, you know, ideal, but we'll get Britain to help us out with that. It'll be fine. So we can let this procession go ahead, or we could stop the march. And let's see what happens here. Okay, we got the bad roll there. It's fine. No problem there. Okay. So a foreign manifesto, huh? Sure, that seems fine. So the British market is, of course, not doing the best at this moment, but we need to get these government administrations finished up. So that's looking good. We can see our unrealized taxes have dropped. Some of this is due to tax waste, and some of this is due to, these uncollected taxes. Steam Donkey Unlocked is, of course, a pretty big deal for us. So we could grab improved fertilizer at this point, and we can get some new production methods with our fancy Steam Donkeys. So that's going to be coal mines heading on down. So each of these is going to take engines, and that is understood that that's going to potentially cause some market issues. Okay, so something along the lines of that. We'll let that good substitution happen, and that should, in theory, ultimately be a good thing. Whichever way forward, huh? It's time for a change in course. Okay, there we go. So that looks good. We are, of course, having radicalism build up, which is not shocking, but I feel like there's no way around this. I think we have to have a revolution at this point. The revolution, either way, will create some amount of change, and change is exactly what we need here. So that looks good. Hey, we just progressed up to consideration here. Okay, let's see here. Interest group political strength on the ulema? Yes. Let's get some reduction there. And we just successfully prevented the assassin. It was, in fact, the ulema. Okay, I can't say I'm shocked about that. So minus 5% on the Civil War, or... yeah, let's do this. There we go. We don't have many academics outside of our capital state, so that will make the most sense. Oil discovered in Punjab, good for them. And we're now done with our government administrations, and we are working on these ports. However, our finances are in a dire, dire state right now. So that's not great. That's for sure. Let's let these ports finish, and then from there, we'll see where we are. Oil discovered in Arabistan. Is that in our territory? No. Okay. Noted. So yeah, this balance is not good at this point. That is very much for sure. So we do have some 11% tax waste. A lot of this is going to be due to our current situation here, right? So that's understood. National self-defense, huh? We'll bring this back a bit. Oil discovered in Fars. Okay, that's almost certainly in our territory. But we may not have the tech to be able to extract it yet. So that's understood. Yeah, this is in Fars down over here. So there's definitely oil here, but we probably cannot build it yet due to technology, is my guess. Yeah, we need pump jacks for that. That's understood. So this revolution is cruising on forward, and that's fine. We will accept that. We're just waiting at this point for these 2 ports to finish up, and then we're going to pause our construction. It's going to be rough, no doubt about that. Tax waste is going to be painful. And we can see market access is dropping. This is, I think, due to unrest, most likely. People really want to keep the monarchy, really, really badly, and they want to keep everything. No one in this country wants to change anything. I want to be very clear about that. So there's psychiatry unlocked. That might be useful in getting people to want to change things. Excellent. So let's get this port finished. The mob is approaching. We can disperse the crowds by force, and let's see what we get there. No change in the revolution. Okay. So our port in Persian Hormuz is now finishing. This is, you know, fine. There we go. And now we're building opium plantations. And the question is, do we want to let any of these finish? I'm going to let one finish here, this last week tick. And now I'm pausing construction. I don't want to build up debt more than this right now. So for the moment, we're going to let that go. So yeah, you can see here, our balance, still not great, minus 7K. Most of this is due to unrealized taxes, due to tax waste. So if we can get this situation, this political situation dealt with, that'll be great. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to see if we manage to get Presidential Republic passed, or if we have a civil war, or if we have both, or neither. It'll be interesting. All of those are valid options. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGar, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge SQL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.